Some people say it's running or wrestling. Either way, it's up to you. I think it's wrestling. Where did wrestling come from? Well, in different parts of the world it came from the sort of same ideas. Like, if in France it came from a circus, in Britain it came from the dance halls, and in the halftime shows they took out wrestling as a part of the show. And in America it came from sideshows, and I would say it really did come from the sideshows. And as for the blueprint came from it, was a real sport. They thought we could do time limits on it. It means make matches shorter. We could dress the wrestlers up. It means it'd be characters. And instead of holding them in real moves, they could loosen it up a wee bit. Because why be doing a chipmunk fight every night in a different town when they can just loosen it up and, you know, stage something? Still a rough and tumble, but that's where the blueprint came from in wrestling. And even now, wrestlers still use wrestling jargon, what came from the sideshows. The reason why they use words is if anybody who's not a wrestler heard them over walking and heard them, they wouldn't understand what they're saying. And even like it's a word of mark, like mark now in wrestling is somebody who's a big fan of wrestling, who loves it. And back in the day when it was in a sort of carny scene, wrestling scene, well, carny scene, sideshow sort of scene, was, what was it, a guy would come up, he'd open up his wallet to pay for a ticket, the guy behind the counter would see he's got a lot of money, means they put him a light, his mark. Same with the have choke in his hand, tap him on the shoulder when he's walking away, use his mark on his back, means other people in the sideshow would notice that guy's got money and he's trying to sell him stuff, and that's where mark comes from. And a lot of words come from there, and I quite like that. Even a handshake in wrestling is when you meet somebody, you have to shake everybody's hand, and they do a sort of weak handshake, and again it's just to say, look, I'm glued up on the business, or I'm a wrestler myself, I know how it works. And I don't know, like, if you are a wrestler, I've done it plenty of times, is when you're going to go into a ring, you mostly wipe your shoes before you go in the ring, and it's just to say, respect everybody else who's ever been in the ring and whoever's wrestled. Like everybody, years ago when I was a kid, I moved to a few different schools, and then was
Johny Hollywood!
One school, and at the time it was a boomer wrestling, means I thought, right, I have to glue myself up in wrestling. And this boy invited me to a party, and I thought, okay, means I ended up on that weekend, I went back to Per McKinsey's house. He was one of my mates, he was mad into wrestling, I'd watched it since he was a kid. And started watching it, and then started going, right, I wasn't into that at the beginning, and it started growing on me, and I was like, I quite like that. I must be real. And then the characters I started liking it, like the likes of Mankind was my character, as I loved Mick Foley, and his style of wrestling was basically taking heavy bumps and stiff shots, means that made me believe into wrestling. Well, that was the late 90s, early 2000s, but like that was the second boom period of wrestling. Like golden age of wrestling, I can't mind it when I was a kid, but I was never into it. And it kind of died out in the early 90s, and then when this boom period, it was more gritty, it was more real, and I loved ECW. Like everybody was WWF, WCW, ECW was for me. It was hardcore, basically stiff, if that makes sense. It was basically gritty, yeah.
and it was stiff style, it was hardcore, like shock value, like nobody ever seen that before, and you believed into that. Made me wanting to do it. Like I end up, me and my friends, we used to do backyard wrestling, and I was always wanting to take these stupid bumps like Mick Foley did, or use weapons. Basically it was a Jackass generation, Like I was influenced by Jackass, I was influenced by hardcore wrestling, and that's what got me into wrestling.
Just playing wrestling. Sometimes I play wrestling like it's like stunt fighting. But the difference with stunt fighting is the camera's here and you can miss about that far away, and then come back after lunch and do the other take. Is in wrestling, it's just one take and you can't miss that far away because the camera's all around here, people. And if you're really good, they're up there. Just think of like a microwave. Means it has to be pretty snug. Means sometimes you're guaranteed you're going to get clocked.
Well, when I moved up north, I was saying to somebody, I said, I really fancy doing wrestling now. And they laughed at me because, again, there was no wrestling schools. I never knew there was any wrestling schools in Scotland, and definitely not up north. And I was in a pub one night, and somebody was speaking about, this guy's starting up a wrestling club. And I went along, and I thought, maybe this is boxing. And he said, no, it is wrestling. Because I thought, this would be good, doing this in the weekend, and just stop me going out partying and drinking, and because like we all kicked the arse out at one point, and at that time I definitely kicked the arse out. It means I thought, right, this would be a more positive thing. Because I went to do wrestling, it just helped out, like trying to find well, it was a shop we got at first. It means we had to cut a shop out and put a ring in. I mean, it was like makeshift, but it was at the start. And what I really liked about wrestling, what I realised, is it made my imagination go wild again, like what you were when you were a kid. You just like you get back into it, and we could do this, and we could have a wrestling club like this, and characters, and it made me feel like I was going back being a child again, having that sort of like creative side. Well, when I seen a group, I thought we could be like a new thing, sort of like how ECW came on the scene and it changed the landscape of wrestling. It's like I thought, well, we could be modern ECW. I'm not saying like doing hardcore. I was like more thinking like UFC was getting popular at the time, and I like the old style of British wrestling, and sort of make it a part of it a shoot and a part of it a work as well. It could just be totally different. But I mean, at the time, it wasn't my group. It means his vision was totally different compared to my vision, and he was more into like old school 80s wrestling. And I started watching videos of that, and in came along Johny Hollywood. Well, Michael had a bunch of tapes, like WCW, WWF back in the day, and you watch it, and it was like a fantasy. Like it was a golden era, big heavy hair, tassels, over the top characters. It just looked like a dream when you watched it. And I know that sounds really weird saying it, but it had its own sort of style. And even in wrestling, it was back to basics. It wasn't kicky flippy, it wasn't. It was this back to basics sort of wrestling. Means it was. Well, and I just thought I could just be a character. That's what a group. That was his sort of style of wrestling. Means at the time he was wanting me to come out as a clown. Character called Sully, and I thought, I would do it, but I never liked the name Sully. It sounded silly, and I thought, do I come out as a sleazy clown character? And I think a week before we had a match, I was in a job centre, and there was a guy, and his last name was Hollywood, and I thought, that's cool, means I'm going to hoover that, means I took that.
They will text me.
was thinking, right, we'll put the rules off the tongue, and I thought Johny Hollywood. And then I ended up going until what do you call it, second-hand shop, and I found this for jacket. I found, you know, stuff, and I just made it myself. It was makeshift at the time. And I went in with a pair of workman's boots on with loads of tassels, really over the top, because I was looking at the 80s. I was looking like, if your mum and dad fought a wrestling, they're always going to picture 80s. If anybody thinks of pro wrestling, they think of 80s. Means I thought, well, I'm going to be this 80s wrestler, I'm going to dress up as an 80s wrestler, and that's really where the character came from. Because at the time, it was wrestling was kind of like they're trying to take themselves serious, you know, like wearing kick pads and. Well, what is it? First match it took me about over a year to get a match. And it was a guy, Ben, who's from Manchester, and he basically had more experience than any of us. And when I was in the ring, he basically carried me. He made me look good, and it was good. Like, what is it? Honestly, like, I went out, I started dancing. I thought I'd just do dad dancing, and I wasn't even expecting the crowd to get into me, and I was over. And I was like, they're actually cheering me for some reason, and it was just an adrenaline. Like, I had a sore back before I went out, and I was thinking maybe I shouldn't do this. And I thought, no, I've been wanting to do this for a year now. You know, this is it. This is what I was wanting to do. Means I went out and did it, and the adrenaline kicked in. It means I never felt anything till the next day, and it was fucking really sore. A week before a match, we're doing it over and over. Like, basically in that group, it was like you got handed a script, and it was just like a dance. It was like routine, and we kept on going over and over. And like, I'm never gonna get this, you know. And I ended up taking a bump, and I just could feel my back later on. I was like, that's really sore, and I ended up with my doctor. They said I had knots in my back. This was like pulling muscles out because I was using the right side the whole time. And I thought, well, I've been training for a year, and I really want to get on this show to have my first match. And I thought, nah, just grunt and bear it. And I went out and I did it, and it was brilliant. Like, I think the adrenaline kicked in. I never felt it till the next day. You know, when the adrenaline's not there, you start feeling the aches and pains. But it was basically like maybe handful matches, I would say, but 3 matches. And then I got a t-shirt, been there, done that, and move on. Anyway, what happened is about 5 years later, I was still doing wrestling, and I kept on leaving, and then I had this niggle. I'll go back for one more match. You know, I was all, and even now I'm doing this video. It's like I still got this niggle where I just can't let it go. It means I'm like, this is it. This is going to be it. Laid to rest after this video. But I was turning up to training, and I wasn't really socialising with other people who was there. I never felt a part of the group. You know, they were going off and they were mixing the good things. I was kind of doing my own thing. Yeah. Well. The second match was booked me wrestling a lassie, and at the time I was like, I don't really want to be wrestling a girl, just because I'm kind of old school. You know, how am I going to make this believable for a kick-off? And we all know it's scripted, we all know it's fixed, but it's still, you know what. But I thought, right, I'll go out and do it, and I did, and it was really good. It was actually one of my favourite matches. The crowd got really over. They started chanting football songs, and I think at the time the match was meant to like basically make a fool of me. You know, sort of bury my. Character, but the crowd was over with it, and they were all shouting "kick her in the kipper," and it was really funny. Yeah. Let's see if I can get booked with any other clubs. Means I got booked with like 5 other clubs.
main one in Scotland is ICW, and I was really just say I was there. I was walking down the street one day, just got off the bus. I was walking down the street and I seen a guy with an ICW t-shirt on, and I thought, oh, they must be playing tonight, means I'm speaking like it was a rock band. Anyway, I asked him where it is. He told me. I ran up to the venue. I ended up bumping into Dallas. I spoke to him and I said, look, if you need a runner, it's a guy making tea. If you need this, that, and the next. And at first he said, no, we don't need anybody. And I started speaking to him, and he goes, okay, look, just come back and dress all in black. You can be ring crew, and that was it. Means I was all excited, did that, and then I thought, imagine he's even getting a spot in a match, and then he asked for me back next week, and I did it about 4 times, and a spot came up in the match. And yeah, it was ring crew. We ran in, and then I get clocked, I get kicked about like an empty tracksuit, and everyone is shouting IC dub, and I loved it. I thought, I'd done it.
Yeah, man, it doesn't matter. Kind of silly, to be honest. Those sunglasses. What fans, if you're in the way of these two.
The security try and keep Liam Thompson away. They are not there for the wrestler's safety, Billy. They are there for the fans' safety.
Look at that, our security actually having to hold Liam back. Fight. Normally wrestlers are trained that when try and stop them, protect certain parts of their body.
I mean, it was a small goal, but I thought, well, I was still there. I was so chuffed. I was really quite glad about that.
It's the third show. Was a boy who was just coming to training. He was at training maybe a handful of times, and I was meant to lose a match with him, and I thought a group was just trying to felt like they were trying to push me out, or just felt unwelcome. Means I never went into the show, and I ended up leaving wrestling up north. I was just in my own head, I was overthinking stuff, going, what did I do wrong, I wasn't fitting in my group, and I wasn't over with wrestling, I still want to do it, just do it and then finish it and then move on from there.
Great wrestling action sanctioned by the NWA.
I know what SSW needs. It's needing a Johnny! Hey! I'm here. I came from the Highlands, but I'm down here. Just to do a thing. Just to wrestle, basically. I don't care about titles. That's what it's going to be. Johny Hollywood. You will mind this face. So you will. Johnny! Hey! Ropes here, eh? So this guy, he's frozen. Cameraman, that's an icebreaker right here. Bathgate, who wants to see me hammer up?
Means I seen our wrestling group in Bathgate. Means I end up going along to that. Means I end up heading to Bathgate. To this venue. The wrestling venue was actually in a garage next to a scrapyard. It was old house. It was kind of run down. It had a what do you call it? Thai boxing upstairs. Downstairs it had wrestling, and there was a makeshift ring. It was basically 30 tires. A bit of wood, and you know the sort of sponge mats what you used to get in school when you used to do roly-polies. That was it. It means when you hit it was no give to it. It means when you actually got onto another show, the ring felt so much better because this was solid. But it was good. It was a bit spit and sawdust, but the thing is, the group was really nice. I felt really welcome. And I thought I'd definitely give us a chance. I would say environment was totally different. You know, like people got on, and the person who ran the wrestling school, he was really creative. That's what I really liked about, you know, wrestling in Bathgate. You know, they really knew how to kind of use certain people, and just made it more of a fun environment to be around it. I ended up going to training, and it was in a different level. Like, honestly, like after coming out on a Sunday, and weeks later, I'd still be sore, and I thought, right, I need to do this to get my stamina up, and because I'm down here just really for wrestling, man.
Well, I end up, I've been going along to the training. I had bad habits, means like they did it a certain way, they had a more high-end sort of training. And I was trying to learn it their sort of style. And yeah, it took a while till Penny drop. I still don't think it dropped. And then I was just going along to shows and helping out, building around, and going out leafleting and putting up posters. That's like paying your dues as well. About 3-4 months after going to training twice a week, I ended up doing a trainee show. It's basically like friends and family. It's not paid, and this to see how you do like crowd work, how your wrestling looks. Do you freeze, or you know stiff, or just polish out a bit. And if you're ready, you go until the next show's what are paid out. Yeah, I stuck with the character Johny Hollywood. When I first came out, I blew up a condom, I put glitter in it, tinsel, and then when I was coming out, I was like, Johnny, and shaking it. I come out, popped the condom, went all over me, the glitter, and then for some reason I thought, right, I'm going to be scared of the ropes. I don't know where it came from, but I was trying to get in the ring, and I thought the crowd actually liked that. It means it was more the character side. I think the crowd got behind, and chucking condoms into the crowd. After it, they said they loved it, but they said, like, you can't be doing it on a family-friendly show. And then after that, it's like, you do your training shows, you go on to, like, pubs, and then on to, like, the side shows till theatre, you know what I mean? It's like, every time is a different step. It means I was like, well, that's the goal, to get to, the regal sort of shows,
Okay,
yeah.
So...
Is kayfabe still real? And you're probably going, Sean, I don't even know what kayfabe is. Kayfabe is keeping any secrets of wrestling, a bit like a magic trick. Yeah, it's not like the 70s and 80s where it was a big deal. And even in the 90s, you kind of knew, is it not 100% check, but you don't know how it works. But because now you've got the internet, you can look it up, you can look up anything on the internet. You're like, well, it must be dead, you know. I don't think it is. I just think it's a different way to play kayfabe. Is if when I went out in a match, it'd be easy to take a bump, and it'd be easy sort of take your face and everything. And instead of me, if I was going to land, I maybe not put my hands up and just take a bump, means I maybe dart my head off a canvas, and then people, oh, that really hurt. That's real, But I knew I was taking that. Or again, like, you might get stiffened. It means some people, oh, he's really pissed off with that guy. But you're just playing on till the show. I think stuff like that is where they end up coming along and they start believing into it. And again, it's not so much for wrestling fans, because wrestling fans love wrestling. It's the people who come along who are not wrestling fans. Maybe their friends took them along. And then they start seeing bits like that and they start believing into it. The same way as how when I was younger and I got into wrestling, it's like first you're not into it and you see little snippets like that and you start getting into it, you start believing into it. I think, yeah, that's the way I would say kayfabe's still alive and well. All around the world is different styles of wrestling. If you go to Britain, you got chain wrestling. And chain wrestling is more like grip holds and locks instead of punching and kicking. And it was different, and again it was like time limits and stuff, and if people end up on the mat, they've got different time limits, a bit like what boxing's like. This is like going back in the day, like 70s and that. Again, that's kind of changed now because you've got the American style of wrestling and it's dominated everywhere. And American wrestling is basically, it was more entertainment, it was more panto sort of based and storylines. And even punching and kicking comes from American style of wrestling. But if you go to like Mexico, totally different style altogether. I love it because it's like they wear masks, and the whole point of wearing a mask is you're meant to be a superhero character, but you don't know who's under that mask. And even this sort of style of wrestling is like something you would see in gymnastics. It's like so kicky flippy. It's just like how they manage to do it, I don't know. And then you go to Japan, where Japan is stiff style, hardcore deathmatch wrestling, where that's what got me into wrestling when I was a kid. You know, I've seen that in ECW. You sort of see it now and you're like, it's kind of like glamorised self-harm, like, you know, the stuff they're doing. You know, they really are getting hurt, but they know they're going to get hurt. But the thing is, it is an art form, and you can, you know, like I say, you've got so many different styles. Oh no, the F word. Is wrestling fake? Well, we all know the answer to that. If you take it as far as like a legitimate contest sport, well, it's not. We know it's predetermined, it's fixed, it's spots in the match for entertainment, but it's highly skilled, and stuff could go wrong in that instant by not thinking, just by bad luck, you know. Means it's definitely a lot of training. It's not two grown guys jumping about on a trampoline dressed up as superheroes, what some people might think it is. It's definitely not like that. And even then, like, the lines of wrestling get blurred so many times where, you know, you might have a choreographed match and then certain things might go wrong in the match, or stuff gets taken the wrong way. Because it was like an 80s gimmick, like, and I was still wearing a t-shirt. I wasn't going to be wearing a t-shirt, because at the end of the day, you know, wrestlers shouldn't be cutting about in a t-shirt. Means every show I was going on, I was trying to look more and more better. Even I still wasn't feeling confident in my body. I thought, right, well, I'll be topless, I'm going to just be wearing, you know, tights, and then every show should be losing weight or I'm toning up a bit. And that was the kind of idea. I was probably one of the really changes I did. Instead of chucking Johnny's, I chuck Johnny's onion rings in the crowd. Means crisps. And just do dad dancing, like, the kids loved it. And any time I tried to be a heel, like a bad guy, he's just got behind me. It means I just thought, right, face it is. I can't be a bad guy, because people started jamming me. Even if I was losing it, like, I think they got behind underdog, I think. Well, I don't know, it was, I made a lot of mistakes, but the thing is, what I always say, as long as you keep on moving, and the crowd didn't know you missed a spot, you might get bothered in that after the end of the show, but you missed this, you missed that. But like, the night before, I was ready to go back up north, and I thought I still had a goal. I was really wanting to be in the theatre shows, because I stayed down there, and the night before I couldn't sleep, and then I was just drinking loads of caffeine just to keep me going. The only difference is, like I was saying, it's like a dance, but instead of like with a dancer, you learn that routine for over a month or whatever. It's the same thing. Like, you might be speaking to somebody, and then 10 minutes go over a match, and you've got to mind what that person said, and then go out and then go, please don't fuck up, then knock yourself. But you do. And I think all my matches, you know, there's parts that I'm like, I wasn't good, but in that part was good. And I think it takes at least about 20 matches until you start learning after it. And me, I don't think Pedro really dropped.
because I was going to go back up north, I thought I'd stay down for another year. And I ended up doing more shows just to see if I could get booked in more shows. And then there was I think a Rumble, and it was like I was sold out. I ended up coming out, dad dancing, people was loving it, you know, and yeah, I was getting kicked about like an empty tracksuit, but in the same way I was selling, I was Jackie Jobber. I thought most of my matches was Jackie Jobber. As long as it was entertaining and I can pick bits and go, that was good. Okay, maybe keep working that. It's fine then. You know, I don't really care about winning or losing, you know. A handful of shows I was getting paid, but they always went and said, oh, you know, you're a trainee, you know, guy pay for trainees, you know, some sort of excuse. And the times you do get paid, you had to put it straight back into the club because they've got a seminar with a, don't know, American wrestler or a higher up wrestler, and you're, oh, what, just got paid, straight back in the club. And then again, you got to go to the shows, even if you're not booked, just in case somebody doesn't turn up, or free labour really. You know, you're building a ring, you're doing leaflets or whatever. It's all paying your dues. Everybody has to do it. I mean, it's not just one person. That's just the way it is. But when you're sitting there, you know, you're going to work, and I was working on a work site. It means you're working about 9 hours a day, quite hard labour. And then you're leaving there to go till a bus for till about 18 miles, till do 2 hours of training, and then go back to the city. It's a long day. You do that at least twice a week. Version trying to be Gradle. What is it? I was just making promos, just anything to make my character a bit more creative instead of just sitting there in a blank wall, you know, trying to act hard. I was just like, means I end up doing a video, what is it, on the Hearts pitch one day.
Alright, this here in the Hearts pitch today, I'm going to go back to wrestling tonight. There's a guy called Mike Misso, and I heard by Pishy Dave, he was phoning with my missus, up at Stratty's, sitting there with choogly booglies on his face. He said it never happened. I found out it did happen. There's going to be 3 hits tonight. Me hitting him hitting the ground, and the ambulance hitting about 90, Come and watch me tonight at Southside. And I tell you what, it's going to be brilliant, Fucking Butler!
Bastards! Must get some to eat.
And then I went and did Father Begg because it was coming up to Easter Sunday.
Oh, camera! I got one of them on my phone,
Hey, it's me, Father Hollywood, in the church. And his name's Hoggarden. Look down there. You think you did Jesus?
And some of the videos actually did quite well, and then just other videos just trying to be a bit, you know, silly. We end up going to a toy show.
W3L SSW show on at Howden the Day at Livingston. Susan Boyle might be here, definitely. Targo's going to be here if he ever leaves the toy shop.
You! What time do you call this? You're meant to be getting your tickets soon, Forgot it. Don't worry. Just turn up. Let's have a quiet riot. The soul of the old school. And let's have a laugh. I see yous there. Didn't I say I'm not good to yous now, And it was quite cool. It was just having a party on with it, not taking ourselves too serious. See, like I'm not a love and peace man. I just want to have a good time. But there's a lot of people like with their egos, and I think it was one match what I really liked that I show people it, and I think I got set up to do this match. I think they got told right, stiffen up, man. Even I went through the match, and it was only 3 minutes and 16 seconds long. You know, it did Stone Cold proud. That's all you need. And like I was selling, I think I minded all the spots, and yeah, it was like playing. It was stiff, and by accident, like I'm quite bad at throwing punches, sometimes you might get stiffened, and I always say, stiffen me back. I'm not trying to be have an ego and thinking I'm hard or anything like that. But some people, they believe into their character. The only people that believe into wrestling is what wrestlers or ourselves. You know, at the end of the day, it wasn't like it was a real fight. I'm not being cheeky. Like, I've been in fights and I never had a real fight where I had to go, right, we do this and we do that, right, let's have a fight. You know, as wrestling, you know. But they believe into their characters at times, and it's a bit annoying, because that's their chip on their shoulder, not mine. Why they say, well, that match we did, it got loads of views, you know, and they say it's rubbish, but they're still speaking about that match. You know, I think that match was a brilliant match. Like, for me, I thought, that looks like wrestling, that's the type of style, you know. And it's really their egos sitting there making out like it was a proper fight, when a match, you know, I'm still doing the choreographed and I'm still running about playing a character. You know, I knew I was losing, but I made him look good, you know. It's all love and peace. Well, the pay was just basically pocket money. You know, you're going along, you're doing your training, you're doing it because it's your passion. You know, you love it, you know. And yeah, I think any indie wrestler or trainee is going to say you either didn't get paid or you get paid pocket money. Well, but I had small goals. Like I said, when I first started, like, my goal was just to have a match. And then it was like, right, let's wrestle maybe a handful of matches, been there, done it. And then again, because I was in a different group, I was like, well, let's see if I can get onto this show. Let's see if I can get onto that show. And then, I wasn't getting booked. I was sitting there, well, I'm staying down for like helping out. And people are leaving, you know, who I got on with. And it's just never seemed as fun anymore. You know, and I thought, well, I've done the goals I was wanting to do. You know, I got a t-shirt, you know, maybe it's time to move on. Well, like I said, I stayed down for another year to see for other shows, just to see how far I could go. And I wasn't getting the push, and I thought, well, like I said, I've been there and done that. And then I left training, and I went back for a couple of handful of shows, and the passion was just gone. Like, even like this in a sort of like locker room or behind the scenes, I was like, it's not fun anymore. You know, like, I always had this like a partner called loved wrestling, and I was just like, I'm really done with it now. You know, it's like, it's time to move on. I think the thing is, like, most of light bulb, I think, is people who are creative go to wrestling, and even people who've got chips on their shoulders end up coming up. I think it's a bit like theatre, like boxing. If you had a baby, you got wrestling. You got a theatre side where it's like a drama, and you know, that sort of, and then you got a boxing side where it's more to do with egos and that. That two clashing ends up coming toxic. And I think you get sort of jealousy. People could be nice to your face, but be speaking behind your back. You know, like, because they want to be on the show. They want to be, you know, oh, look at me. And I feel like, you know, a lot of jealousies, and I think I'm just a bit chilled out for it. I try to keep out of the drama side of it. But even there was like a guy who I knew and I thought he was really sound, and he was really shy when he went wrestling. He built confidence, and then years later he's still doing it, and he's turned sort of bitter and sort of bitchy, and you know, he's turned into what the worst part of wrestling is. Instead of, he was actually a really sound guy when I knew him. And I think a lot of people are like that. You know, they'd be nice in front of your face, but they don't like you see doing well. You know, so if you really want to do it, go and do it, because it's always going to have a wee niggle on your shoulder. You're like, oh, imagine doing that. Do it, try it out, try training out, and you probably have a realisation, oh, where this is a lot harder than it looks, and you probably have more respect with pro wrestling going, alright, I get it now. Again, it was a lot of good fun. It was always a thing when I was a kid. I was always wanting to do and try out, and I was in it a bit longer than I thought it was going to be. But once the passion leaves, or it's not as fun, or you're not in love with it anymore, maybe that's time to leave it. But there's no point staying
way and hoping it's going to be another way, because I think it starts changing people and probably get more better, the older you get. Yeah, I'm definitely done with wrestling. The only thing I was wanting to do this one video, and then I said, buddy, just make a good video. As for it started, I was always wanting to have my footage, make a decent video about wrestling, and then done, never speak about it again. But the thing is, like, even not long ago, I was watching a podcast, and then I got mentioned. And like, I haven't been in wrestling for over 6 years, and it wasn't one podcast, it was another podcast that mentioned me. And I'm like, they were slating me, and I'm like, for me getting slated and saying I was this and I wasn't good, why have they still mentioned me?
Ladies and gentlemen, your winner is Dave Kidney.
Well done, granddad.
Give it up for 85-year-old David Kidney. Next month, tables, ladders, chairs, Dave Kidney will be rolling in barbed wire. No, I'm only kidding.
Right. About a year ago, when I went to this man's wedding, right, it was brilliant. I said to people, right, and it was amazing. And that's when we knew we loved this group of guys. And something special happened. Because that night, I had the time of my life. Hit the music. Go, guys. Jesus Christ!
People in here make me sick. Fuck you, old bat. Just bring out this bunny rabbit so I can beat his ass. Where's the fucking bunny rabbit? We'd like to see the Easter bunny kick Jesus' ass. Give me a hell yeah! Dirty bastards! Oh, fucking hell! Jean-Claude Van Damme, indeed. Oh dear. Oh, Jesus! Mary and Joseph! Oh, look, he's got some presents for you as well. And the codes. Tax! Back for a tax, motherfucker! Oh. The Son of God just keeps on coming back, rising for the fucking dead when you think he's down.